So today at Stanford University they organize a special event. It's called Stanford Splash. We drop our son off with his friends. It consists of classes taught by undergrads, grads, and actual Stanford teachers. And obviously we are not allowed inside. So we're gonna do some tourism in the Stanford University. They organize tours and we booked one of them. So we thought that we'd share with you guys. So let's go.
Undergraduate schools. The 4 graduate schools are law, medicine, business, and education. And the 3 undergraduate schools are the School of Humanities and Sciences, the School of Engineering, and the School of Earth, Energy, and Environmental Sciences. So as an undergrad, when you apply to Stanford, you apply to the school as a whole. And once you get in, after your 2 years here, you can declare your major. So you have some wiggle room and some time to figure out what you want to do. None of our majors are capped. And even once you declare, you're not stuck in that department or that particular school that you declare in. You can still take classes in all the different departments. When the university was first built, main quad was pretty much just it. So this is the historic center of campus. They've added some other quads since then. The engineering quad is just behind you through there. And on the other side of that is the med school campus. But this right here now is home to just the humanities and sciences. So these are all different buildings. These are like classrooms and offices. So if you are taking humanities classes, this is kind of where you'll spend a lot of your time. And as you can see, you've got these like nice arcades that connect all of the buildings. They're also connected on the inside as well, and the same is the case for the engineering quad. And the Stanfords really wanted professors' offices and vastly different departments to be right next to each other. It leads to a lot of interdisciplinary research and interdisciplinary majors like product design. We've got one called Symbolic Systems that's a combination of neuroscience, computer science, linguistics, and philosophy. This is new. All tied into one major. So people here, I like to say, like can't really major in one thing. People are always talking to each other, working together. It's hard to just like isolate yourself in your single world. You'll always be interacting with people from different departments, sort of adding to your repertoire. Additionally, the way we do sort of requirements here, nobody is required to take a history class or required to take an English class. We have something called the 8 ways of thinking and doing. So there are things like creative expressions, engaging diversity, ethical reasoning, artistic inquiry. And so you can take an anthropology class or a communications class or history class that all might satisfy the same ways. So you just have to complete them over your 4 years here, so it pushes you to get outside of your comfort zone, but you can still pick what you're interested in. I have a friend of mine who's an electrical engineer. That's what he does. That is his thing. He had to satisfy his creative expressions ways, so we took an arts class, but the art class was titled Electronic Engineering and Arts. So it was right up his alley. He got to make like LED switchboards in these really fancy shapes. His final project, I don't know, has anybody seen Stranger Things?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's like the alphabet on the wall with the Christmas lights. He made like an LED board with the alphabet, and then he wrote a little program so you could type in a sentence and the LED lights would light up underneath the letters in the right order. And he put it on his door and he would like communicate with us via that. We are gonna pause right here. So this particular architectural style is called Richardsonian Romanesque and Spanish Mission Revival. They like to say Mrs. Stanford picked out the red tile roofs because she wanted little baby Leland to be able to see Stanford from heaven. So when you're flying over, you can spot Stanford right off the bat. It's a big red dot in the middle of everything else. Shortly after the university opened, Mr. Stanford actually passed away. He died in 1903. And so to honor his legacy, Mrs. Stanford decided to dedicate this church to him. And it used to say on the front of it in giant letters, "In loving memory of my husband, Leland." So this was Mrs. Stanford's kind of pet project. Like I said, the school itself is non-religious. The Stanfords were Episcopalian. They didn't want to force the religion on anybody, so they actually invited priests and rabbis from different faiths to come and bless the church when it first opened. They saw it more as a space for spiritual gathering. So besides hosting non-denominational services and Catholic services here, they also have speaker series. They do something called the Rathbun Lectures, where they invite one person every year to come and tell their life story. They've had the Dalai Lama, Martin Luther King Jr., Oprah Winfrey. Last year it was Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So all kinds of really amazing people come gather in this church. If you're wondering why it no longer says those words up at the top, we like to say fortunately, but fortunately Mrs. Stanford died in 1905, right after the church opened, because in 1906 there was a huge earthquake on campus. There used to be a giant clock tower on top of the church. It came tumbling down, knocked the mosaic off the front, punched a hole in the ceiling. They decided not to rebuild the clock tower, and this is the second mosaic that they shipped over from Italy, up top there. Let me see if the door is open today. I don't believe it is. Usually they're closed on Saturdays. They have like wedding. If you're like at all associated with the university, you can have your wedding in the church. So every once in a while you're like biking to class, haven't taken a shower yet, feeling kind of crusty, and there's a wedding procession going by, or like people taking quinceañera or prom photos, all kinds of stuff like that. Yeah, you're required to live here your first year. 96% of people stay all 4 years. It's guaranteed because Palo Alto is super expensive and the commute doesn't really make much sense. So that's actually something that I really love about Stanford, is the fact that everybody lives right here on campus. You can open your door and in 5 minutes have access to all of your friends, which is great. You never have to worry about sort of getting off campus to find everything and then making your way back. It also makes things a little bit safer, where you feel like you're kind of in this sort of enclosed community. It does feel like a bubble. They call it the Stanford bubble. You could spend months here without ever stepping foot off campus and have like the access to everything that you need. I went to San Francisco once last year. It was over spring break on my day off of work. So I used to, when I first came out here, I was like, oh yeah, like I'll go to LA on the weekend, and like I'll go like stay in a cafe in SF all the time. Doesn't happen. You kind of get everything that you need just right here.
Riders on the